So what are my favorite materials and why? My favorite materials are graphite pencils. The reason being is they're easily accessible, easily affordable, and no one really expects you to be a professional graphite artist when they hear that you're an artist. They immediately assume that you're a painter or potentially a sculptor. And with these pencils, they're easily accessible and at your ready. You don't need to do any lengthy prep work as it comes to when you're painting. There's really no excessive cleanup after. Sometimes you get a bit messy. You have to worry about, graphite on your hands and touching any door frames, white door frames, because that'll just really leave smudge marks all over the place, and anyone living with you will get easily annoyed with it. And why they're really my favorite is that something as simple as a pencil you can use to create so many intricate details and translate the complexity of life through a medium so simple that's overlooked and overused in everyday life. With regards to my studio and my most productive times of day and my preferred working environment, I'm actually currently sitting in my old studio that has been converted into a nursery, as my wife and I are expecting our first child together, and we live in a small apartment, and we've converted the studio slash office that we were in into our child's nursery. And right now I'm currently just working from our dining room table and any sketchbooks that I have laying around. But that's also why I love the simplicity of graphite, because I particularly don't need a studio. I can draw anywhere that I'm comfortable, anywhere that I can sit down or even stand up at times. So the transition for me hasn't been that difficult. It's just been a transition of where do I store my box of pencils that I've been accumulating over the years, and stacks of paper and notebooks. So thank goodness I've got a great book bag. I've managed to fit it all in there somehow. My preferred working environment though really is any and everywhere. The only thing that I must have is music. Music's a must have. And my playlist from when I go to draw, it's just out there. Such a mixed match of music. I mean, 1 minute it's 80s rock and roll. The next minute it's 90s boys band, and then you got a bit of Beethoven thrown in there, and then it'll switch to some country music. It is just all over there. But really, there's no preferential style or particularly place that I need to draw. As long as I can get good lighting, my headphones, and some music, I'm good to go. What inspires me when I'm working on art? Really, this question I get asked quite often a lot, and honestly, as I'm sitting here now, I can say that nothing. That's not to say that I don't get inspired. I'm inspired by everyday life, little moments, little details I see that I'd love to capture. But is there anything in particular that inspires me to work? No. The reason being is because a while back I fell into this rut where I was like, oh, I've got to be inspired, I've got to be creative. And I realized that I was only relying on inspiration to work. So I started to practice and just say, hey, I'm just gonna draw for 5 minutes today, even if I'm not feeling inspired to do so. And then I do that for an entire week, and then the next week I'd say, hey, I'm gonna up that to 10 minutes. And then the week after that, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna double it. I'm gonna go for 20. And then slowly it just became a habit where I'd be able to form to say, I don't need to be in a particular mood or to feel inspired to create anything or to draw. It would just come as it comes. Even if I'm in the worst of moods, I'd still say, you know what, I need to dedicate some time to go ahead and sit aside and draw. There are moments that cross me in life though, that I'm just like, oh, hey, I'm really, really inspired by this to draw right now. But to say, is that where I'm at all the time? No. Who are my artistic and cultural influences? And is there anyone I look up to? And in short, I look up to those who are professional artists, but they don't have a formal art education. And that's not to say I don't respect those who do. I respect both equally. However, I myself don't have a formal art education. I never got the chance to go away. I've tried, and it just didn't work out. There were circumstances that didn't allow it, and that's okay, because on that journey in life, I met others like me who are better than me, and who helped me on this path. And they showed me that even though you don't have the equal chance or opportunity as others, that doesn't stop you from doing something that you love, such as art. And I've spent thousands of dollars out of my own pocket, just like they have, buying materials, trying them out, realizing what works and what doesn't work, attending lectures, seminars, buying books, watching different artists create work, different reviews online, studying as much as I could, because at the end of the day, their drive and their passion for art really is what was influential as well. I find myself now encouraging others. I've met students just along the way in life who are like, hey, I draw too, not as good as you, but I'd really like to be able to go away. But my parents saying, try something for like an accountant or a lawyer. I tell them, I was like, you can be that, but if you want, you have another choice in life, and even if you do decide to get an office job, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still create art in the background. As long as that drive and that passion lives within you, you don't need to let it extinguish. It'll always be there. So it's all these unsung heroes and artists that go about their daily lives all around the world that are my biggest influences. It's really beautiful and inspiring to hear so many of their different stories, because at the end of the day, we still have one common goal. We're still creating art, and a lot of them, and like myself, do it for the love of it. It's not really a monetary gain. It's like, I have to draw, or I have to create an art piece because it comes just as the need for me to take my next breath. Without doing it, I feel flustered, I feel upset. And I don't know if that's just because I've gotten myself into such a habit, or if that's because it's a part of me that I haven't realized as yet and goes deeper than my understanding. My current project that I'm working on was originally a portrait that was designed for a much larger scale. It was designed for 18 by 22 inches to allow me to maximize as many details as possible. And what I found is that I decided to challenge myself and condense it down to 8 by 9 inches. The reason for this is I wanted to see how small I could get with a portrait, and yet able to still obtain as many hyper-realistic aspects and photorealism qualities in the drawing. With regards to my future projects, with a baby on the way, I'm not gonna have that much time immediately, and that's okay. I wanted to take some time anyway away just so I could spend more time with my family. But I do have a lot of plans lined up. There's still gonna be some portraits here or there that pop up, of course. If you follow my Instagram, I'll try my best to go ahead and actually leave those hints and photo updates as the weeks come by. But really what I intend to do for the future is potentially collaborate with other graphite artists that I can find on island, as I feel that we need to actually come together. They're not many, they're far and few in between, and that's to say I'd love to find them, really, and I'd love to be able to create an exhibition with them to show the Cayman Islands and the Caribbean what graphite has in store and what it can do from one artist aspect to another.